officially for joining us. I always forget that part. Thank you all for joining us today for the kickoff meeting of Aging in Place Week 2021. I'm excited to have you all join us today. We have an event going on, a virtual event going on every day this week here at the national office. And then also on Thursday, the Atlanta chapter is doing a presentation called What is Aging in Place? So if you have some seniors that you would like to invite, that would be a great presentation for them to attend. But today we are doing another session of the Hidden Gems of Aging. This is something that has become very popular with our members. I think this is our fourth or fifth go around, and Peter has been hosting it. This will be his second time. Peter Klampkin and I go way back to Financial Freedom Reverse Mortgage Days, so we've known each other quite a while, and I'm thankful to be able to continue my journey here with him and share more educational information about aging in place and seniors. So with that, I will turn it over to Peter, and we'll just put any comments or questions you have in the chat box. We'll make sure that all of those are addressed by the end. And great, so welcome, and it's all yours, Peter.
Thanks, Sarah, I appreciate it. And you know, it's of the best laid plans is that I even got, unlike me normally, I got on early to make sure I was connected, and then of course now we have no internet here, and automatically you start thinking, did I pay my bill? And we did, so I was even ahead of the game for that. But I can't see the chat box, so certainly when we're done, Tara, if you want to read questions to me from the chat box, that'd be great, and I'll try and get on normally if we do get internet back here. But we had big storms here last night in Texas. I'm wondering if this is connected to that. So anyway, I had today, you know, when Tara and I spoke initially about doing this again, and we had a great response, I think, from the Hidden Gems webinar that we ran a couple of months ago. You know, the question comes up, you know, in terms, especially with the topic being hidden gems, you know, what are the services, what are the programs or the companies that work in the senior marketplace and work with seniors day to day the same way that you folks all do, that you might not normally know about? And in my case, I come from the insurance world and knew about both of these programs, but never really saw them in terms of aging in place broadly. And so with that, I sent an invitation out to Dan Feldman from My Health Angel and to Janet Bryant from MASA Global. And unfortunately, both of them were able to join us today for the webinar. So the format will be very much the same as it was 2 months ago, where I'll start with Dan. We'll talk about My Health Angel. We'll take questions as they come up, certainly as you put them in the chat box, or certainly you're free to talk during the conversation. But I wanted to start with Dan and My Health Angel, and then we'll go to Janet after that. And hopefully we'll take the hour in terms of being able to, you know, talk about what these folks do and how, most importantly, you have to think about how can it benefit you in terms of what you do, whether you run an aging in place chapter, whether you come from any other business such as insurance or reverse mortgages or home care or supplying seniors with all the things that they need to age in their home as they so desire. So with that, Dan, are you with us?
Yes, yeah, I'm here. Thank you.
Good morning. And again, you know, we spoke earlier, and I had internet this morning, so you know that I am a real person. This isn't, as we saw last night on 60 Minutes. I'm not an AI kind of thing.
I can vouch for that. Yeah, I don't know if anyone else saw that, but that was amazing on 60 Minutes to see what the future could hold, and frightening.
Well, actually, I could use one of those right now, to tell you the truth.
Yes, yeah.
Maybe that person would be able to have internet service. So with that, I wanted to introduce you first, and Dan, if you want to just give a couple minutes about just how you got to this point in your career, in your life, and then we'll talk about My Health Angel and what you do and how it pertains to aging in place for our folks on the call, and then we'll open up for questions. And you know, it's funny, my father used to be in the appliance business and years ago, and if someone came into a store and they were initially looking for one thing and ended up buying two things, he used to call them a twofer. And that's, I think, what we have with you on the call today is that you really have two services and businesses that, and and two ways that you connect with seniors. And if we can, we'll talk about both of those, by the time we're done. So, Dan, if you just want to talk about what got you to My Health Angel in your career and your life, and then we'll go from there, if that's okay.
Yeah, no, Peter, thank you very much. Tara, thanks for inviting me. I'm really excited to talk to you all today about My Health Angel. And I'll give you a little background about myself. I've been in the senior demographic marketing for the past 15 plus years, really being a provider of marketing services to providers and companies that sell medical alert systems, similar to like a PERS or a Help I've Fallen, I Can't Get Up, Medicare insurance, and a variety of other services that are being marketed to seniors. And the transition of how I became, a co-founder of My Health Angel really was from an idea that my partner Dave and I had maybe around 7 or 8 years ago. We were in a conference room, and he had a separate company that provided durable medical equipment to seniors. And it was a common theme that many seniors who were at home felt as if there was a lack of information, a lack of clarity, and there was a bunch of services that were available to them that they weren't aware of. And that generation doesn't seem to be able to kind of go out on their own sometimes and find some of the stuff. They seem to like it kind of curated and distilled and delivered to them in a more bite-sized format. And throughout a period of time, Dave and I kind of came through a lot of question and answer sessions. We did a few different focus groups, and we were in the process of creating My Health Angel as an in-person way to kind of meet and have a localized version of what we were doing right around when COVID hit. And we pivoted to Zoom and really created a platform for seniors to engage, learn. And it was really not intentional that we have all these different types of classes available. It was really through an interactive format of talking to seniors, asking them what they needed, and then going out and finding something that filled that need. And over the past year and a half, we've developed My Health Angel to have classes where every week we have a licensed clinical social worker that has a weekly light group therapy. It's not billed to Medicare, but we started with a very small group, and that built out to 40 or 50 people on a weekly basis. And during that process, a lot of people had issues with tech support. We had people on our calls trying to help them, but we saw technical support was something that seniors needed a lot more help from. Ironically, that was something that on a personal level, I usually get. I don't know if anyone else does. I get a call from my parents once or twice a week. This doesn't work. How do you fix this? Or my printer doesn't work. And can you FaceTime me to do this? Or, my screen can't get on the FaceTime. I can't see you. I just see the other thing. And these things just are common issues. So we ended up having a monthly technical support where you just can join. It's all free. And anything you have, basically it's moderated. So we have people on the call trying to help get these questions answered. And we just continue to build out services. And we have mental health. We have a licensed clinical social worker. We have a doctor that's talking about brain and cognitive health. We look for entertainment regarding movies, theater, art. We have physical movement in terms of Tai Chi, yoga. I can't remember the terminology. Feldenkrais, I can't remember. There's a specific type of exercise or movement that Feldenkrais. Thank you, Nicole. And this is something I had no idea, but it's through that interactive process. And the way we run the events is very structured with breaks, with question and answer, because the idea that we've looked at is, one of the key issues about seniors and aging in place is if they're lonely and they're looking for interaction, it can be a precursor for depression, which can be a precursor to other chronic illnesses. And we really feel it's very important to try to get in front of that. So we want to make sure that they're not watching TV or watching a video. There's a lot of interactive videos that you can kind of download and see about anything you could ever want, more topics available. But by having a break, having a question and answer session, having your specific topic talk where you're being forced to have an engagement, it's forcing your mind to be sharp. It's forcing you to be, engaged in social interactions. And all these things are very important in kind of keeping seniors healthy and keeping them engaged and having conversations. So that's generally speaking, kind of the idea of what the My Health Angel platform is. It's something that we're continuing to try to reach out to other folks that are talking to seniors and expose them to what we're doing. We're still young startup that we probably have about 20 different presenters, but we're always looking for more presenters. We do a very thorough job of making sure we vet and understand who these presenters are, and the value they provide is really high level. And we try to make it a very comfortable experience. We have people that come on a regular basis. And the best of all, it's free. Right now, we don't charge anything for this. The idea really is that, our business, we're not a nonprofit. Peter said we have two parts of the business. Our core business, we sell insurance, healthcare insurance, mainly to seniors around Medicare, MedSup, Medicare Advantage. But the idea is that our opinion is we're trying to build a relationship. We want to make sure that the seniors is cared for throughout the year, not just when open enrollment comes around and there's product to be sold. So we provide this as a platform where throughout the week, throughout the month, we're here to help you and also to try to talk to you and find out what you're looking for and add more services. We just a lot of people were interested in art. We had a virtual museum tour of the Met in New York. And then through that, they were so exposed to this, they wanted to learn about travel. We're talking about having a monthly virtual tour where you can do going throughout the country, throughout the world. And these are all different companies that have these specific services, but they don't have the way to really reach people. So we're looking to not do this all ourselves, but also work with companies that have specific niches and be a platform for them. So I think that's, Peter, a good summary of what we do. I'm not sure if you had thoughts on that.
I do. So I guess the first thing is, there's some businesses that have profited, well, I don't say profited, but certainly had been a boom through the COVID time. And in your case, can you talk a little bit more about, how your seniors have reacted to having this service available to them during COVID? I mean, and just the fact that what you do with My Health Angel is build a community, and you've built a community nationwide. I'm sure that you have folks who are on regularly and have become friends with other seniors in different parts of the country that they would have no relationship whatsoever if it weren't for My Health Angel.
Yeah, and that's a great point. So it's interesting. We use Zoom as our platform, similar to this. And Tara, the interesting way, you started, and Peter, had some internet issues. So there was a dialogue prior to the webinar starting. One of the things that through our kind of natural evolution, we had a lot of people that had technical questions. So we opened the call 30 minutes earlier, and we had two college students available to help or call you if you needed to understand how to get on. And that was important the first couple of weeks. And then everyone kind of got over that hurdle, but they came on earlier because there was a lot of, similar to being in a coffee shop or a water cooler at work, they were just talking, meeting one another, getting to know one another. And it became that, friendship where these people were isolated. Some people definitely come from all different economic and socioeconomic backgrounds where everyone really felt that it was an equal playing field. They really enjoyed the conversations and they really looked forward to it. It was a very, very important part of some people's lives. We really felt as if we helped them through some difficult times. The Tuesday talks with the licensed clinical social worker, all these people never met in person, but shared very intimate experiences about things because, they felt as if this was an area that they could express themselves, they could care, they could be open, and that means a lot. People change some of their daily patterns to make sure that they fit this call into their daily schedule. And we get feedback from people all the time about that. I think it's difficult to understand what we do. I always call it somewhat of a black box. We have made a brief video that we can share that gives you a synopsis of some of the things we do and some of the different hosts that come on. And it definitely would help to digest that and really get a better idea of kind of the interaction. It's really dynamic, the way that the presenters are always engaging, and it really makes a difference. I mean, that's a big part of making sure people are, they can watch TV, they can go on YouTube. There's just so much information out there. But if they're having these conversations, it's kind of like they're actually out in the real world talking to people. And that's what a lot of people feel is important.
Do you find that different types of folks and different interests show up for different topics, or do you get people who show up no matter what for the fact that you're offering another program?
There are definitely some regulars, but we've expanded the content because some people, we have exercise and movement. Some people really enjoy that. Then there's other people who are interested in movies or entertainment or arts or theater. We had a Broadway, Broadway was down, and we had, I think, 3 or 4 series where an artist or a musician was on and singing popular Broadway songs. And you can watch people's faces light up as the song that they remembered, they were there, it hit them, they resonated with them, they were singing along. So we've expanded the topics and the content because not that, it's kind of like Baskin Robbins, there's 31 flavors because people like different things. So we're continuing to look and expand. We're never going to expect the same person to come on for everything. But the idea really is that over the course of a month, we publish a calendar. We're doing something almost every day. And if I can help you once a week or twice a week, that's really important. And the idea is that as we build this trust, and our core business is insurance, we just did 2 informational sessions about Medicare insurance. The idea isn't that we want to sell you insurance, but it is to say, hey, this is a time of year, we're all seniors, and you should take a moment to compare the current plan you have to what's out there. You should understand why things are changing. If you have questions, we have licensed agents. If it's in your state, we can help you. If you feel as if you got the the best information or the best plan, that's great too. We really weren't looking for sales as much as making sure they're aware that this is the time of year to check your plan. Make sure you're aware of all the new things that are available. We had, between the 2 events, close to 450 people that signed up for these things. So it's an important part, of people's lives. And for a lot of the people that we talk to, they are on a lower economic profile, and each of these new benefits matters to them, and they want to make sure that if there's something that they're missing, they can get it. If there's something they're paying too much for and is now offered for free, they can make a change. So it definitely feels good to be able to help people. And, if we're licensed in the right state, we'll be happy to help them. If we're not, we'll point them in the right direction.
So a couple of things. One is that, especially for those who work daily with folks who are aging in place, how do they just give them all the site that they can go to, they can recommend for folks to register for the online programs that you offer?
I would say the best thing to do is go to the myhealthangel.com site. There's a list of events. We have a calendar that we publish that's probably for up until November, and you can register for any event. I would say that's the easiest way.
No, and what's important is that you've built a way that I don't know that there's any comparison to anything else, that seniors who are in their homes or seniors who just want to connect and feel like they're part of a community, even though they are in their homes, you've built a format for them to feel engaged and challenged and interested. And again, I would encourage anyone on this call who deals with seniors on a regular basis, as I'm sure we all do, is that I would direct them to the site, because sometimes we have a connection with a senior, if we're doing a loan or we're selling a policy, whatever, and that stops a lot of times when the transaction's done. Now, you might call, a half hour or a day later or 5 days later or a month later and just ask how they're doing because you care. But this is something that's ongoing, and they'll think of you when you send them to myhealthangel.com and get them to, they find a topic that they like. it's a way for the fact that, Dan and his folks can connect to these people by offering them a program that they can't get anywhere else. It's really amazing, for the fact that you've built up this community in such a short period of time of topics that just seniors, just enjoy and are educational and things that they wouldn't get anywhere else, in a group setting, when you're home. That's really the amazing part of the whole thing.
Yeah, we appreciate that. And it comes from personal experiences. I mean, my parents are in their mid-70s. My mother is dealing with some memory issues and trying to adjust, that lifestyle. So we have personal experiences. We're trying to figure out what are the best services for a senior who wants to age in place. And I look at this and I invite my mom to come on to these classes and learn in the same way I would invite a stranger to come on that's potentially interested. We want to make sure that what we're doing really makes a difference and the value is really there. And if they like it, they'll come back and hopefully they'll tell a friend or two. And we're trying to grow the member base. And we really feel that we make this as important as if it was just for our own family or for everyone's family. That we're very focused on the quality and the content.
And you have no paid ads at all. And certainly somebody can get through this through. Do you have links on social media that folks can get to this as well? Are you on YouTube once you run a webinar, or is really the only way to get to this through going to My Health Angel, signing up for a webinar? Do you record them so someone can go back and listen to one later on? And can you capture that person?
Yeah, those are all very good questions. We have a couple different ways that we're getting the word out. We have a newsletter, so you can always sign up, and we send out a weekly list of events. And we also sign up, if you're signed up, you'll get a notification by text or email that there's a 1 hour. So a lot of people do forget. So we try to make it easy for them to figure that out. We're on Facebook. We have a Facebook page. We're always promoting different events, Instagram. And then additionally, most of the events that we run are videoed. The licensed clinical social worker is not, due to personal and private reasons, but most of our events are videoed. And even the technical tech support, what we try to do is not just leave the 1 hour or 1 hour and 20-minute video. We will break those into little snippets so that the different types of questions you may want answered are available, so you don't have to go through and skim through the whole thing. So everything is available on our website. And I think, that's really, I think we may be opening up a YouTube page, but I'm not sure about that. There's some folks on that wouldn't be able to answer that. Nick.
Yeah, we have a YouTube. It's on you. All of our recorded events are on the My Health Angel page, and you can skim through all of the past events and rewatch them. You can, as Dan said, the snippets, which is a lot of people like, because it's a 2-minute breathing, 2-minute stress release from yoga, that they just want to go back to that particular thing at certain times to ease them when they're feeling anxious. These things have really been watched time and time again and very appreciated by the community. So they're all on the website, myhealthangel.com.
You ever thought that this is kind of like TED Talks for seniors?
It's the first time anyone brought it to look at it that way. That's the interesting point. I look at this as like, depending upon the topic, you're in a university setting, you're in a class setting, you could be at the JCC or the YMCA in terms of getting information. I don't know if that's the same concept, but the idea really is that there's so many different ways that you want to be in a social setting. And right now people aren't, for a variety of different reasons, they're not going out, or they can't go out because they may have limited mobility. And this basically brings it right to them. And it can be done at the most minimal level. You could just have an iPhone or an Android phone, and you can get access to this. It's that simple. There's really very little barriers to get access to what we're doing.
No question. And And the other thing too is that if there's someone on this call that would be interested in presenting a topic for My Health Angel, can they just reach out to you?
Yes, yeah. I mean, like I said, we're looking to constantly find information or education services that may fit the same profile. So please reach out to us. I think Ashley posted something in the chat, you know, and we'll go through the vetting process and make sure that's appropriate. And then schedule, and you know, we do a decent amount of marketing. And we have a newsletter that probably goes out to a few 100,000 people on a weekly basis. The Facebook and Instagram marketing. And we have some other marketing services where we do a decent job of getting the word out. So it's a good place to start. You know, it's a great way to get your information out to other people. And these people really trust what we deliver to them. I mean, we do an important job of building loyalty and really building trust. It's amazing on our Medicare call, you know, in addition to people asking us about insurance, they went on to ask us healthcare questions, some other type of questions. And we're like, you know, I appreciate that you think we're a resource for that, but you're going to have to ask a healthcare professional. We don't know which vaccine is the right vaccine or if you should get the third booster shot. That's just a little bit, you know, outside of our comfort zone. But that's how much they trust us to ask.
It's amazing. So let's talk about, in a couple minutes while we have, let's talk about your other hat, the Medicare sales, because this Friday begins Medicare season till December 7th, I think it is. And we have folks on this call who certainly are either in the business or certainly are dealing with work with clients all the time who are bombarded with marketing for Medicare supplements, Medicare Advantage. Can you talk about, and it's a commodity in the sense that it's based on price primarily, or the fact that I've seen Joe Namath now here in Texas on television every 5 minutes, more than I see Tom Selleck. So the question is, if you were advising someone right now in terms of whether they should switch or stay or go, or what they should be looking for, is there anything new for this season that they should keep an eye on as they're advising their seniors as they age in place?
So that's a great question. You know, and there's, if you want to understand Medicare insurance, it falls into two main groups. You've got Medicare supplemental insurance, which means you're keeping your basic Medicare Part A and Part B, and then you're paying on top of that to have the insurance, the supplemental insurance. And that's a great product. Depending upon your age, and as you get older, sometimes your premiums go up and the cost of that becomes a concern. The other product is Medicare Advantage. And essentially, Medicare Advantage is where private insurance companies, Humana, United Healthcare, and all of the major carriers and also regional carriers are taking over the risk, and Medicare is contracting with them to provide you services. And most of the time, they're providing, in addition to doctors and hospitalization, you have prescription drug plans. So that particular is really what you see mainly advertised. That's the Joe Namath type commercials. And the reason is that there is a potential possibility where the cost can really be, they call $0 cost. You're paying your Medicare, but there's no additional cost like you would with Medicare supplemental. And the benefits continue to get added on. So the reason over the past 5-7 years, you've seen these type of marketing campaigns to be so common is that the carriers keep adding services similar to like Papa's Pals was on last month. That's an additional new benefit. And they're adding this so that they can keep competing with one another to add more people onto the plans. Really, they want to have as many people as possible. And the more value they create, in theory, the person will keep themselves healthy. And in theory, they will cost less, you know, in the healthcare system. It's also priced based upon your county. So, and it's all fixed pricing. So when you go in, and I live in Florida, I live in Palm Beach County, and someone who can be in Broward County, the plan from Humana may be slightly different. They may have different benefits. So it's important to speak to a licensed professional and really try to understand year over year. You may have a change in your medical needs, and certain parts, but your prescription drugs may be important, dental coverage may be important. And the reason why we say to check in is if your needs change, this is the time of year where you try to address that. You can go on and check to see your formulary and see if there's differences in terms of pricing for medications. And then if it changes the following year, you're allowed to change it every year. That's why they have this open enrollment period, so that every year you're allowed to move around. If you're on a med sub plan, it's a different story in that if you are aging in at 64 and a half or 65, they don't have underwriting. So everyone with all conditions has to be accepted. But if you're in the mid 70s and you want to go on, you have to go through an underwriting process. And depending upon what that is, the price may fluctuate and you may not be able to afford that. So my parents, for example, are on a med sub plan. They were asking me, should we change? And I said, well, let's go through and look at, what medications you're on. And my dad may be eligible, and it might not be a good idea for my mom. So it does take time and effort. It's worthwhile to do this. And with med sub, you're paying in advance, so you know what your expenses are, but it does cost money out of pocket in addition to what's being paid for. On the Medicare Advantage, you may not pay anything, but depending upon your health level and your potential needs, you may want to make sure you have a cap on the amount that would potentially be your annual expense. And it's just something that you're going to see a lot of ads. It's, we do a lot of work with all these companies. And the main point is take the time. It's a free call. It's free information. It's not a rush decision you have from October till December 7th. And really, think about what's important. And, we speak to people all day long. We've got a small agency. We've got about 20 agents. We're licensed in about 40 states. And when a person is going through that call is an hour. It does take a long time to really go through these things. And that's an average call when someone's buying insurance, because, each part of their medications and has to really be reviewed. So I would say, if anyone's interested, by all means, they can call us, or they can call anyone that they have service with, and we'll do our best to try to help them. But it does take time. Make sure whoever does call isn't looking for a quick 5-minute call.
So lastly, this is like Macy's versus Gimbals. Does it make a difference whether I call my Humana rep or that I'm calling a broker that represents more than one company?
No. The only difference I would say is Humana can only offer you Humana plans. And Anthem may have come out with some additional plans that year that you won't know if you're talking to a Humana rep.
Right.
So if you're talking to a broker that represents multiple carriers, they can show you all the potential options. So, My Health Angel Insurance, we work with United Healthcare, Humana, Anthem, Cigna, Aetna, and WellCare, and a few other carriers, Florida Blue. But the idea really is that, we offer enough opportunities to evaluate so that you really aren't, boxed into one option. But there's plenty of people that are going to be in marketing and advertising. You just find someone that you trust, that you feel is, honest, and that you make sure that you have the time to do this. And in advance, the most important thing is really know all of your medications. A lot of the issues are just making sure you have a list of all your medications in advance, because you have to go through and check the formulary and the pricing on each medication. And that's a main part. Make sure you know the doctors, the specialists you want to see, and your medications. And that information, if you can organize in preparation of any of these calls, it definitely will help. So whoever you talk to that is thinking about that, that's the advice, to know that stuff in advance. You want to make sure they're in network, especially if you go to an Advantage plan. You want to make sure they're part of your network. The other thing is if you're traveling, you want to make sure, some people, we live in Florida. There's a lot of people that come down here from the north when it gets cold. So if you're on an Advantage plan, you want to make sure that there is coverage in both places. The benefit of a med sub plan is it's that really is irrelevant. It covers you regardless of where you are. So that's the plus side of a self-plan.
So you're a great segue to Janet and MASA Global, because what she does is, what they do is all about travel and protection. So with that, let's go over to Janet, and then when we're done, we'll open it up to questions from everybody after we speak with Janet. So Janet, are you with us?
I am. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you? Welcome.
I am doing wonderful. Thank you so much for having us. And Dan, that was awesome. I have been passionate about senior issues for the last probably 20 years. I am a Series 7 licensed financial planner. I'm also licensed in all 50 states Medicare. So what you're just now saying is so true to my heart. There are so many people that get calls on a daily basis trying to get them to switch their Advantage plans, and they don't even know if they're on the right drugs, if their doctors are in the plan. And these people switch out because they're trusting people. And to know that what you're doing out there, that just really kudos to you. That's awesome. So
thank you very much.
You're welcome. MASA Global, I am what they call the OG around here at MASA Global, because I've been here a long time. I was born with a heart condition, congenital heart condition. And so when I found out about MASA, I actually joined the company before I even came on to work here. My title here, which I don't really care about titles, I care about our customer, because we are a very customer-centric company. And when our reps are talking to, we call them members, we want to make sure that we do a full risk assessment. And what I tell everyone, that no, you can't sell someone anything. You can present enough information to let them know if they need that or not. So with MASA Global, I'm so proud of our company. We've been in business for 47 years. We started out Medical Air Services Association out of South Lake, Texas. And it was back then mainly for people that traveled. In the last 10, 12 years, though, it's changed drastically. We have 4 different divisions. We have a B2B division that calls on municipalities and schools and hospitals, and they are a payroll deduction company. That's how they get our product. And then we have another division that we focus on seniors. And we go and have seminars, and we go and speak to these seniors nationwide. And what MASA does is we supplement their insurance to pay for all ground or air ambulance bills, whether they are at home or whether they are traveling. And I don't know how much of you know, I'm sure Dan knows, that $716 billion was cut from Medicare to help fund the Affordable Care Act a few years back. And one of the main cuts came from emergency medical transportation. And Medicare went about with their changing their wording to where transports have to be medically necessary. And their medically necessary may not be what you consider medically necessary. And so seniors, they go out there and they buy these supplements, and they're supposed to come in and cover everything. And then they go and take an ambulance trip, even those with Advantage plans that have a copay. And they realize that if it's denied across the board. And now they are left to pay the bill. We are coming up with some great things starting in 2022 with the No Surprise Act bill, but ambulances are exempt. So they're still going to be responsible for that. And I was looking just the other day, I had probably over 700 members that had over 11 rides in a 1-year period. And one person had a $300 copay. That's $3,000 for that person they would have had to pay for that year. And with MASA, we pay every bit of that. So if your bill is denied 100%, we pay that. If it has a copay, we pay that. If Medicare goes off their usual customary and reasonable charge that they love to do, typing in a zip code and saying, you got a bill for $2,000, but we think it's worth $500, so we're going to pay 80% of that $500. And then they have a big bill left over, we pay that also. So in addition to that, snowbirds, winter Texans, as they all like to have different names of where they're moving and what they're called. we have benefits for those as well, such as vehicle return, bringing someone to be with them at a hospital if they have to go and have an emergency while they're away from home. God forbid someone should pass away while they're away from home, the mortal remains transfer, which is unfortunately, I mean, we do a lot of those. Grandchildren, getting them to someone to take care of them until they can get them back to their parents, pet return, just so monies to help them while they're away at the hospital. We always get someone back home. And then in rural areas, we're really big because people live so far away from level 1 trauma centers that we do the helicopter transports and even the ambulance transports. And something that we've noticed happening going into that No Surprise Act billing is that used to the ambulance transport to the helicopter and from the helicopter to the hospital would be included in the helicopter bill. Well, now that they know they're not paying, they're separating those out because ambulances are exempt. So we're seeing quite a bit of those coming up as well. But for someone that has COPD, diabetes, heart disease, things like that, or someone that lives alone that needs to have that security to call 911 without knowing they're going to be in financial ruins. I mean, that's what makes me so proud to be a part of MASA.
And Jane, I appreciate this. In my case, everything's personal. And so my folks lived in Florida for 26 years. And, the one thing first is that when they first moved there, certainly they were aging in place, but it didn't mean staying home all the time. And
Right.
so, they were taking cruises, they were going, back up north, traveling fairly often. And that's one of the things I was thinking about in terms of having you on the call is that, for a lot of folks that, we deal with who are aging in place, it doesn't mean staying home all day. And that's what, what you do is so important, especially again, as you get older and you're staying home. Again, in my mother's case, she was taking an ambulance as transport, to the hospital on a fairly regular basis. And, I know as a loan officer, for those of us who are on the call who are in the reverse mortgage business, we see someone's credit. We see a lot of medical bills, and a lot of them have to do with ambulances. And although they don't count in terms of qualifying them for a loan, it weighs on a senior that they have this much unexpected debt because they think that ambulances in particular are covered, and as you said, they're not. So
they're not.
It's a very big deal.
That is so important that you brought up a few things just then. I mean, of course, the people that travel, they definitely need this. And, as Dan was saying, Advantage plans, they leave the area, they're no longer covered, but they may be covered for an emergency, but they're not going to be, what we've seen as emergency transport, get your own way there. I mean, even in your Medicare and new booklet, it says that Medicare will take you to the nearest hospital. It doesn't say the best. And if you are someone that has a pre-existing condition like I do, I want to go back to Tampa General. That's where I want to go to my heart surgeon if something happens to me. And so many elderly people that they travel, they have told us that this gives them the peace of mind to be able to travel. Because I can tell you how scary it is to be in a hospital and then think about being in a hospital where no one knows your situation. Well, MASA, one of our benefits is we transfer you back to your home area. So either by commercial airplane or through a fixed wing jet, we're going to transfer you back to your specialist. So you don't have to sit there and talk to someone else about your pre-existing conditions. Also, people think VA, TRICARE for Life, that they're going to, I have that, they're going to work as a supplement. Not necessarily. We got a $101,000 bill just a few weeks ago from someone that has Medicare and VA, and they denied it because the gentleman had COVID and couldn't be treated at the hospital where he was. And so they transported him 30 miles by helicopter. And they said, we took you to the nearest hospital. You could have been treated there. And so $101,000 was denied 100%. And, it's sad when they say, they say medically necessary, but then you look in your Medicare and you booklet and you say, well, what is medically necessary? Well, can you sit up? Can you stand? Can you walk? We had another lady that had septic arthritis in her daughter and sepsis of the blood. Her daughter found her unconscious. She took her, called 911. They took her to the hospital, stayed in the hospital a couple of weeks, got home and had a $2,000 ambulance ride that was denied. Why? Her doctor could have driven her because it says you could go by car or taxi or any other means without endangering your health. So by Medicare being mandated to cut $716 billion, we see so many things that should not be denied that are denied. And so it's just really important to know if you are aging in place, yes, have that peace of mind to go travel, but also, you know, most emergencies happen within 10 miles of your home. And so just knowing that you're not going to have, you know, $3,000, as you said on your credit report, because you can't pay your ambulance bills, to know that those are going to come in and be paid 100%.
Yep, it's a big deal. And the other thing I want to bring up is that there are some folks in this call who are from the funeral business. It's where I come from, you know, a long time ago. And you talk about, let's say that, you know, you've known somebody that, you know, unfortunately passes away while they're on vacation in Europe or Cabo or whatever. You talk about what's involved in repatriation and what you folks do to take care of that. And and again, I hate to say this all the time, but it's because it sounds trite the more you say it, but it really is all about peace of mind. It's exactly what you're talking about. And you hate to say, you know, you're selling peace of mind, but it's really what you do all day long. But it makes a huge difference in people's lives.
It makes a huge difference. I mean, such a huge difference, because you want to stick your head in the sand and pretend like these things never happen. But with the MASA policy, you want to make sure that you have it, but never use it. I mean, I hate to say that, but the best thing is that you never have to use it. But yes, I come from the funeral business also. Matter of fact, MASA has, you know, we have a funeral division where we transport bodies for funeral homes. And the way that was set up, I was actually with the former company that set that up for them 20 years ago. And so we have in our product that if someone passes away, we will actually take care of all of that. And you can't just be someone and call an airline and say, can we transport this body? You have to have a known shipper. You have to have the shipping containers. You have to have, I mean, there's so many things that is involved with shipping a body. And so MASA takes care of all that, and we pay the transport cost, you know, airport to airport. We also have another product that will pay for the embalming, or, you know, the cartons and the death certificates. And we're a worldwide company. Another thing, you know, people don't realize about MASA is, you know, we've had people overseas, and when you pass away, you become the property of that municipality where you are. And it takes a lot of paperwork to take the remains and get them back to the United States, or even if you're in a different state. And so with MASA, we have all those licenses in order to get with a consulate or get with the different state authorities to be able to transport the body. Not, you know, we had someone that was had a stroke while they were on a cruise in Europe, and they went to the hospital there in London, and they were told they needed to have oxygen all the way home. So of course they were then put on a med jet, and we flew a nurse in, and she administered oxygen all the way back. And then she went and helped that person get set up in their home and stayed with them until they were all set up. And those are the differences that MASA makes. There's a lot of people that do travel insurance, but that's not us. We are licensed right now in some states as an insurance company and others as a membership organization. But by January the 1st, in 20 different states, we have been able to go and have those states look at other companies differently in order to be licensed. So we'll be licensed in 20 different states by January the 1st.
That's phenomenal. Yeah. I think, and just it crossed my mind when you're saying this, but not only do you pay, my understanding is not only do you pay for the person insured, but you pay for their spouse to come back as well from overseas. Like in the example that you used in the stroke patient, you paid for their spouse to come back as well, don't you?
Yes, we do. And we had a couple that were in the Caribbean on their on vacation celebrating their anniversary, and the husband actually passed away while snorkeling. And in that case, we brought the children in to be with the mom who was, I mean, extremely distraught. We brought all of them back to where they were, you know, their home area. We transported the body and we paid some expenses while they were there. So there's about 18 different other benefits that come along with just the medical transportation. And it can be very expensive for someone. I mean, suppose you have to go buy a ticket right this minute. You don't get that discount that you would get if you were buying it 2 weeks, a month in advance.
That's right. You better hope you know somebody with a lot of points.
Exactly. So I'm very, very proud of the services that we do. It's for everyone. I always say, if you know when your next emergency is going to happen, you don't need us. But if you don't, then you need us. And it's not just for seniors, it's for everybody.
So I just want to wrap this up before we open up to questions real quick, is that both for Dan and for you, you know, again, if you're looking at this from the outside, you say, well, this doesn't apply to the people I work with who are aging in place. But for both My Health Angel, to have people feel connected and part of a community while they're home, and for MASA, especially for those folks who are traveling or thinking about traveling, or find themselves very much so in where they need ambulance care or ambulance coverage. This is why we invited them both on, because they are hidden gems in the aging in place world, and they matter. So again, if you have a reach for your clients who are aging in place, these are two programs of which I firmly believe that they would benefit from. So feel free to reach out to both Janet and Dan after the call. So Tara, hopefully you have like 5 minutes for questions from anybody or comments.
I did not see too many pop up in the box. There was a question for Dan on how do you attract your target audience from the initial get-go? How have you been attracting your audience of seniors? Oh, and you're muted. Sorry.
Sorry about that. Yes, it's a great question. We started initially through different Facebook marketing. That's been an area where we started pulling together in probably the first couple months, and we've built out an email list of people who registered. And in addition to that, we do a decent amount of direct mail. So the combination of direct mail, email, Facebook has been our starting point. And then from there, it's referrals. We do a lot of where if you like this, invite a friend. That's been mainly how we're building it to now. And what we're trying to do is present to our organizations what we offer. And hopefully, if they like what we do, communicate that to their audience.
That's great. We have,
Thanks, Dan.
I know we have 300 plus members in NAIPC that would be happy to not just be a presenter for you, but share the information with our seniors. So that's great. Thank you.
Sure.
We had one other comment from Georgia. Georgia is one of our new members in the Northeast. Her comment was for Janet about how she lost her grandmother a few years ago, was staying in the Caribbean, and her ambulance was $30,000, and they did not make it in time to see her. I also had a similar situation. My husband's grandmother passed away. They're Greek. She was visiting her family in Greek and passed away there. So I know firsthand as well that there's a lot of issues that you have to jump through. So thank you for sharing your information with us.
Thank you. Yeah, it's outrageous, the cost that can be involved, and it just sometimes can just devastate families.
Yeah.
And it's completely unexpected. That's the thing. But that's what insurance is. And that's what, it's all, knowing and having, again, the peace of mind, knowing that if should something happen, that you can just make one phone call, and at your worst hour of your worst part of your life, you have somebody who is used to dealing with this on a regular basis. And that's a very big deal.
Oh, great. Well, I don't see any other questions that popped up. So unless someone speaks now, we're going to go ahead and end the session. Feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions afterwards or any follow-up comments for the presenters. I'll be sure to get that over to them. As I mentioned at the beginning, we have a session every day this week for Aging in Place Week. So hop over to our calendar and check it out. I hope to see you all again at future events, and thanks for joining us today. Bye,
Thank you
everyone.
so much.
Thanks
Bye-bye.
very much,
Very
everyone.
much.
Really appreciate it.
Our pleasure. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Peter, thanks again. Tara, thank you very much.
Yeah, it was great. Thank you. I'll be